Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews and another classic movie night. Tonight, I will be reviewing Son of Dracula, released in 1943. Directed by Robert Siodmak, from a script by Eric Taylor, starring Lon Chaney Jr., Louise Allbritton, Robert Paige, Evelyn Ankers, Frank Craven, and J. Edward Bromberg. Now, this one a little bit different than my previous review for a Universal Monsters movie, which was Dracula's Daughter. I think I prefer this one over Dracula's Daughter. Not so much so because of Lon Chaney Jr. playing Dracula. I think he's got the physicality, he's got the look for Dracula. I mean, how big you want him. I mean, he's probably around the same height as what Christopher Lee was as Dracula. But he does not have that Dracula vibe to him. He is a much better at everyday men, normal guys, like what he played in The Wolfman as Larry Talbot. But other than him, you have a waste of two great females in this. Now, the first is not so egregious. Louise Allbritton is playing the character of Catherine Caldwell, and she is obsessed with the occult, and she gets involved with Dracula. But for the most part, we don't see any of the actual entrancing of her to turn her toward her obsession with him, to allow herself to be turned into a vampire, which she does. We don't see any of that. She's already basically under his influence as the film basically starts, which is kind of disappointing because, I mean, you want to see a Dracula movie to see Dracula show up and Dracula start entrancing the people and then them falling under and wanting to become his brides. But you don't get that in this. And then the other actress that is sorely wasted in this. She's great in here in her performance, but you're watching a vampire film and you got the lovely Evelyn Ankers in here, and yet you get no hypnosis scenes with her, no attempts to entrance her at all. What a waste. I mean, it's a vampire film. That's what you expect from a vampire film. You hire attractive women in it and they get hypnotized. Now, they might get broken free from their trances later on by the heroes, but none of that happens in here. Like I said, Louise Allbritton is already under his influence basically from the start of the film. And that's a shame because she's a gorgeous actress, as is Evelyn Ankers. But yeah, it was kind of a waste of these two actresses in here. And then, of course, you have your hero, Robert Paige, who is pretty unlikable and a pretty weak person to be made into your so-called hero in this. There's nothing about him that screams likability or, that you actually are on his side or rooting for him throughout this thing. He's not very he doesn't lure you in like that, unfortunately, with his performance. Now, the performance of Frank Craven as Dr. Harry Brewster, he is always good in anything he's in, and he does a really good job making his character very likable in this. And, of course, the best character in this whole film is J. Edward Bromberg's Professor Laszlo. Now, this, in my opinion, should have been the return of Edward Van Sloan as Von Helsing. But for whatever reason, they decided to go with a Professor Laszlo character in this basic role of Von Helsing in this instead. But J. Edward Bromberg does a great job making this character super likable, very intelligent, and balls to the walls when it comes to facing off against Dracula. He is not showing any fear. He is a badass in this film. I really liked his character, but I would have liked to have seen all of those attributes that were on him on Edward Van Sloan reprising his role as Von Helsing, but unfortunately it didn't happen. The setting is very unique, though, for a vampire film, because we hadn't seen it prior to this, and, you know, because it is set in New Orleans and everything in here, and it's a very unique location for a Dracula film. And there are several memorable moments by Lon Chaney Jr.'s Dracula in here. One of them is of him floating across the New Orleans swamp, going after Louise Allbritton. And that sequence is pretty iconic for this film. It's one of the best scenes in this, and it was well done by Robert Siodmak. Another is when he comes up through the door as J. Edward Bromberg and Frank Craven's characters are talking, and he comes into the room as this smoke entity and just appears. It was a great effect for the time period, and he is really cool looking when he comes in. Of course, this Dracula is afraid of crosses. I like to see Dracula being made to where a cross gets brought up and he's like, yeah, that doesn't work on me. I'm more powerful than that. But most of these films don't do that. But yeah, he cowers down pretty quick to this cross in this film. But overall, I think Son of Dracula is a better film than Dracula's Daughter as a sequel to Dracula. It could have been better, of course, if they had gotten a better actor to play Dracula in here that was more fitting of the role. Like I said, his stature, he looks great as Dracula, but once he speaks, once he does any dialogue, it just falls apart. And like I said, the wasting of the female characters in this just, that hurts. But my final review for Son of Dracula, I am going to give this film an 8.0 out of 10. It could have been great had they just shown Louise Allbritton's seduction and turned to the dark side, how it started, and of course Evelyn Ankers. We could have used her a lot better than she got used in this. But what do you guys think of Son of Dracula? Do you agree with my review? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, if you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell icon so you can be notified about future videos just like this one. And while you're by the subscribe button, click that join button and become a Dark Knight fan. As a Dark Knight Fan Plus member, you have access to an area on the channel right now where you can request a movie, TV series, or ranking video of your choosing. And when that video goes up, it will go up for all Plus members prior to it going up on the schedule for all other subscribers. So if you want to get interactive and help get more movies on this channel that I might not normally review, become a Plus member. Well, that's the end of another Comedy and Drama Night. If you missed last week's Comedy and Drama Night, check out the link above. Or if you missed any of the videos during Comedy and Drama Night, check out this playlist and get caught up on anything you've missed.